Cafe. Welcome everybody to this week's edition, the Book Lovers Rendezvous. And rendezvousing with me she is here every other week, my co-host Linn. Welcome.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Well, we all got to be somewhere.
We got to be somewhere.
And rendezvousing, the Rare Book Rendezvous, is with Rebekah Cron from Henry Sotheran. Ooh, do I detect a British accent?
Yes, indeed. I'm in the south of England in the UK. So it's afternoon here, not morning.
The south of England in the UK, and you've got books behind you. And so you're where in the south of England?
So I'm in Surrey, in a little tiny place called Whitley, right out in the countryside. So I'm about an hour and a half south of London. Yeah, sun is shining here.
All right. I'm going to start off and just let you and Lee chit-chat for a little bit, and then I'm going to jump in at the most inappropriate time.
Okay, fantastic.
Well, we heard about you because of your book van. And
yes.
And you know, we're familiar with bookmobiles where patrons can borrow books, just like a mobile library, but you're doing something a little different with yours, aren't you? And I understand she has a name. I understand she has a name also.
She does. So that's Betsy, my pride and joy.
And she's a nice looking one.
Yeah, she is. So she's a Ford Transit Connect, just under 2 meters. So you can't quite stand up inside, but she's got a bit of height on her. And bought her about 2 months ago. She's an ex-refrigeration van, so you can see just there, she had a big box put in. And that's her after. So decided to basically rip out all of the inside and build something new instead. And that's how she looks at the moment. So there's quite a lot of work.
And what's going inside it?
So the idea is...
I was going to say, and that's a stupid question. Books are going inside it.
Books are going in, yeah. Books are going in.
Will books be coming out?
Books will be coming out as well. So I started a business at the beginning of this year. It's called Fold the Corner, and this is us. And I was also lucky enough to travel quite a lot this year. So the idea was come back to the UK, get a van, and combine my work and also my love of travel and drive around picking up books, selling books, and sleeping in the back of the van as I go. So that's the idea for Betsy, really.
Was there an aha moment where it just hit you and said, or was this something that developed over months?
It was over a period of months, really. I was traveling in Europe, and whenever I go to a new city, I don't know about you two, I always try and find a bookshop wherever I am. It's always my first port of call. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great if I could just drive there, buy some books, pop them in the back, and away we go. And it was probably over about 6 months that the idea really came together.
So will you sell from the van, or is it just going to be kind of your warehouse?
So the van, we're not going to sell books directly from the van, but there's a lot of great shops in Europe and a lot of books that you wouldn't be able to find in the UK. So we have a business which is based here in Surrey, and we would bring the books back here, catalogue them, and hopefully sell them from here as well.
Okay. So
would you take them back through the channel?
Yeah, probably
Really?
through the tunnel. We're lucky enough here to be so close to Europe that we can just hop on a boat. I have, and I've also been on the ferry as well. So taken both routes through to France there.
Well, is this a solo venture? Do you have a partner in this? Or you?
I have a business partner. I have a partner who's he's Hungarian, and we're running it together, which is lovely. Yeah, so I was there just a few weeks ago for the first time. It's
we got to go back.
Great.
Good for you.
Yeah, amazing place.
So when you finish,
go ahead, Lee.
When you finish outfitting the van, do you know what it's going to look like? you have your plan strong? Do you know what you're going to
Yeah, I think
do?
the first part was taking out that big
Right.
refrigeration box, which was quite a lot of work. The next stage is putting a floor down. And the scary part is going to be when we add windows, because we want to
Oh.
put windows in, add light, add ventilation, but obviously that will involve cutting a big hole in the side of the van, which is scary. But after that, there's the fun part, which is really designing how it will look. So we want to have enough space in it that we can fill it with books, but also it needs to have a sort of fold-out bed, a basic fridge, and lots of storage as well. Lots of cupboards, lots of places.
Good for you.
So the design element's going to be hard, but it's going to be the fun part. That will come in a few months' time.
Yeah. So do you?
I just want to remind everybody that you were listening to the Rare Book Cafe, the coffee break edition. If you want to believe that I'm drinking
how much of that did you have?
Just a cold coffee, you're welcome to believe what you want. What are you on today, Lee?
What am I on today? I had coffee early this morning, but we had a big event, a concert and food trucks and beverages in the park last night for the Art Center. And so I was really tired this morning. I didn't get on.
And everybody, our guest, Rebekah Cron from Henry Sotheran Books in the southern part of the Queensland. I guess it's the Kingsland now. Rebekah, Henry Sotheran seems to be like a fun company to work for. We've had other folks from Henry from Sotheran's on our show before. Is this an intended culture, or am I misobserving something?
An intended culture. I mean, Sotheran's is a fantastic place to work for. It's got such a rich history. It's interesting that you would approach two very different parts of it, Chris and myself. But yeah, it's fantastic. So there I'm head of literature, and I basically deal with 400 years of history, and I go from 1700 up until present day, dealing with all aspects. And then Fold the Corner, which is my own business, is basically the opposite of that. So we go back from 1700. So I'm covering all bases there, really. But it's a great place to work.
You ever had a 10-bagger? Have you ever found a rare book that you knew what you were getting and it was a good 100% profit? And which one was it?
I haven't had that myself, but we have had someone in the shop who found in a bargain box of books a copy of The Hobbit. It was at a car boot sale. He called up the shop. He said, I paid £1 for this book. I think I've got a first edition of The Hobbit. And we said, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. And he brought it in, and there it was. And it's, as I'm sure you know, a very expensive book. So hasn't happened to me yet, but we're holding out hope. One day.
Yeah, it's fun when that happens.
What's this book we're looking at on the screen right now?
Yeah, this is one of our books at Fold the Corner. It's one of my favourites that we've got. So it's a first edition in English of Nostradamus's prophecies, and as I'm sure you know, you've got all sorts of fun things in there. He predicts the end of the world, and some people say that he's correctly predicted the fire of London, the French Revolution, and it's just a really nice copy of the first English edition.
Becca, put yourself in Nostradamus's cape and project out 5 years from now. What is Fold the Corner going to look like?
That's an interesting one. Starting out with Betsy and starting out with Fold the Corner in the same year, we're trying to find our feet and see what books we enjoy dealing with. So far, we seem to have bought a lot of early surgical works. We've bought a lot of esoterica. We've bought books on bodily functions, including a book on bile. And
just one.
Just one so far, but actually this book is really interesting. It's a really early surgical work. It's by a guy called Johann Schultz, and it was published in 1665, and it's essentially a medical treatise, and it's one of the first to show how to amputate limbs. So this poor guy is obviously needing to have his leg amputated, and there's numerous plates in there which show all sorts of procedures, really gruesome. But he was one of the first to sort of show how to amputate. So it's really interesting.
You have to wonder if this poor guy survived or not.
Yeah, and obviously there wouldn't have been the same sort
not
of...
until today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
you'd have just had strong alcohol really to put you under.
Yeah, you would have. You would have.
Yeah.
That is really, so you really have an opportunity here to go in any direction that you choose to go to. You know, if you were to find something, another subject entirely that suddenly catches your eye, you could become an expert on that, and you could focus on that. That's exciting. That's exciting, and no one to really tell you that this is what you've got to buy, this is what you've got to specialize in. But you'll maintain your job at Sotheran while you're doing folded?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said before, Sotheran sort of deals with 1700 to today, and Fold the Corner deals with 1700 backwards. And my business partner speaks numerous languages, so we're able to deal with works in French and Hungarian. And I don't do that at Sotheran. So basically, there's no real overlap between the two businesses. So I can deal in all sorts of different things, which is really exciting.
That really is. And when you find some books that are really in very poor shape, you can consult Ed with his newfound knowledge of book binding.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're looking for a bookbinder, actually.
Yeah.
Are you? Well, I'll give you my email and number. And
yeah, do.
Call me in a couple months.
First customer right here.
Yeah.
All right, Rebekah, without giving anything away in particular, those first 6 months, the van is decked out, as ready to get on the road with or without windows. In the first 6 months, what are the 3 or 4 cities you're going to head to?
Ooh, well, I was in Budapest for the first time, visiting Mark a couple of weeks ago. I'd love to go back to Budapest. I thought it was a brilliant city.
So basically, you're going to drive across Europe to get there.
All the way, yes, with a few stops along the way.
Top left corner to the bottom right corner.
Why not? Why not start, and go the full distance and then work my way?
All right, okay. What are you going to do on the way home?
So I would probably base the trip around the good bookshops. And I know there are great bookshops in Belgium. There are some fantastic ones in Denmark. And I'd love to go to Luxembourg as well. But that's partly because it's somewhere I've never been and I don't know a huge amount about it. So I'd like to explore Luxembourg, hopefully in the spring. So hopefully Betsy will be finished by the spring.
What a journey you're on. Oh.
It sounds so exciting. Maybe we should go with her, Ed.
Yeah, sure.
Catch up with her on a weekend for a cup of coffee. We'll do the Rare Book Cafe from another corner coffee shop. Rebekah, I saw this publicity photo of you precariously perched atop a step ladder. What's going on there?
Well, you should see some of the ladders at Henry Sotheran, a lot more precarious than that. This was a library of books that I was asked to catalogue for a friend in Cumbria. Mostly religious books, some pamphlets and sermons from the mid-17th century. And I don't know quite what I'm examining in that picture, but there are all sorts of fun things in there. And we spent about a week up in the lakes going through all of these books. And yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Great opportunity.
And great photo. And when you finally get your book published, that ought to be the picture that's on the back cover.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is a good one.
Lee, one more time to you before we take it out of here.
I have had something exciting come in this week. A bookseller here in the United States posted an offer a couple of weeks ago that he was clearing out pamphlets, other ephemera, stuff like that, and giving it away. Well, I responded immediately, but I was not the first one. So about a week later, he wrote back that he had continued his purging and that he had several boxes of like 25 to 30 pounds of paper that he was sharing with several other book dealers. And so mine came a couple of days ago. And it is a treasure trove of stuff. I don't know whether much of it's going to have any value or not.
Including the skull? Was the skull in there?
That's her skull.
That's my
Becca's skull.
Oh,
There was no skull in there. There was, however, a lot of Boston churches in the 1800s published sermons, printed sermons.
Mm-hmm.
There were a bunch of those, which I'll take with me to Boston next month.
there you go.
But one of my favorite things in there was a little booklet called Eagles Have Bad Breath. And it was a guide to identifying birds for people who don't know anything about birds. And I'm going to visit some friends in Florida next week, and he's a big birder. And so I'm going to take it to him. My son, who lives in Montana, found a book of poetry from a Montana poet that he may be able to use on some of the TV shows that they produce. There was a packet of programs from London theaters that I really even haven't had a chance to go through.
You hit the jackpot.
I know. I mean, it was like
Real treasure trove.
Yeah, it was like 30
Bookseller
pounds.
jackpot.
30 pounds of stuff, including a pamphlet on Colorado madams.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, I know. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and he said, he said, every time he bought these things, he thought he had some use for them, or they were something that appealed to him, and so it was exciting, to get this kind of stuff all in one big box.
Don't you
I
just
love
love
having
this
a
business,
box
Rebekah?
like that you
Yeah.
rummage through.
Yeah, you don't know what you
Rebekah, we can't let you go without telling us about the skull. What am I looking at here? I thought this was Lee's skull.
No, that's not my skull.
So this is Horace. And the reason I got into books was really my grandfather. He was a medieval manuscript collector, and he also collected all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And this is Horace, and Horace, we don't quite know where he came from, but apparently my grandfather came home from school one day, cradling this skull in his hands, and obviously my great-grandmother went totally berserk and said, "Where is this from?" And instead of going to his sports lessons, he'd been going to various museums, and I think this was from the Royal College of Surgeons in London. And he'd somehow talked them into giving him this skull. And we inherited it from my grandfather, and he's somewhat of a family mascot now. And actually, we discovered a few years ago that he is not a he, but is in fact a she. But Horace is her name, and Horace is the name that stuck. So that is sitting on the shelf
Horace,
just
she
next
shall
door.
be.
Well, I'm glad to know your grandfather didn't dig him up in some
He did not. No, he did not. All above board.
dig.
Rebekah, this has been so much fun. You've been one of the best guests, non-regular guests we've had on the show in a while.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, so much fun. And
You like being a non-regular
send us a
guest?
postcard.
Yeah, we'll do from each
All right,
country that
everybody.
Betsy makes it to.
Send us a postcard. The Rare Book Cafe, the Book Lovers Rendezvous. This week we've been glad to rendezvous with Rebekah Cron from Henry Sotheran's in somewhere South England. Off on a journey.
Yeah, sorry,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Surrey in England.
Bye bye.